Nestled on the lush Ohio River Valley, some 50 miles from Louisville, Kentucky, and an hour from Cincinnati, Ohio, is the community of Madison, Indiana, where for over 34 years now, unlimited hydroplane racing has been a major part of their summertime. Hello, everybody. I'm Don Poyer, and welcome to Madison, the site of the Indiana Governor's Cup, stop number 4 on the 1984 Unlimited Hydroplane Tour. First of all, a couple of developments. The Tosti, which was damaged during testing in Evansville, Indiana, a week ago, well, they're back here racing. They managed to go back to Seattle, fix up their backup boat, and they qualified here in Madison. They'll be racing. The second development, very exciting. The turbine-powered Light All-Star, for the first time, has qualified in 1984. Jim Hendrick is down with the excited driver, Tom Deeth, right now. Jim?
Woo! Tommy, congratulations. It's been, well, this is into the 4th race, and now you're qualifying.
Well, the crew really worked hard, and I'll tell you what, they put together a valiant effort for this last-minute try. We knew that the boat could run fast enough after our run this morning, but there were just too many boats out there, too many wakes. We're having a handling problem with the boat. Obviously, it's very light. Jerry dialed some wing into it, and we went for it, and we got the Light All-Star in the race.
Don, you can see he's on it high. There's no doubt about it. Now, Don's over with one of our other drivers, and other boat crews getting ready, and they've had their problems. Over to Don and the Tosti.
Thank you, Jim. You're right about the problems, but first of all, Steve Reynolds, how do you feel about the Light making it? Another turbine.
Listen, that's 4 turbines, 2 Tostis, an Atlas, and now a Miller Light. I think it's great. Watch out, you piston guys. We're coming.
What about this now? This is your backup boat. Yeah. A little goosey or what?
Well, you know, we were a little nervous about it, so Dave Herrensberger flew in from Seattle, and he says, calm down, young man. You got it under control. I feel great. As long as Dave's here, no problem.
Okay, well, have fun out there, but be careful.
We'll do that.
All right, let's now go to Jim for the rundown of Heat 1A. Jim?
Okay, Don, we have a field of 5 for Heat 1A, thanks to the last-minute qualifying by the Light All-Star, and here's the way they'll line up. It'll be the U-20 with Jerry Hopp, checked in at 106 mile an hour. Ron Snyder, the hometown boat, the American Speedy Printing, at 120.8. Jim Kropfeld, Miss Budweiser, at 123.5. And a best qualifying speed for George Johnson in the Executone at 124. If I had to pick a favorite, Don, I'd have to say that the Executone is coming on strong. However, you got to give the credit to the Kropfeld and the Budweiser team because of their experience and past performance. Now, how about you? What do you see in 1B?
Jim, I'd have to agree. I think the Budweiser's got to be the favorite going into 1A. Let's take a look now at Heat 1B. First of all, Chet's Music, qualifying at 113.1 miles per hour. Todd Yarling, the driver. Followed by the Tosti with Steve Reynolds. Remember, this is the backup boat, qualifying at 115.6 miles per hour. Then comes the Miss Renault with Milner Irvin at the wheel, 118.1 miles per hour. Next, the Union Bay Squire Shop and Mickey Riemann, a winner of 1 race this year, qualified at 119.6. Then comes the Atlas Van Lines, qualifying at a new course record 135.0 miles per hour, driven by Chip Hanauer. As far as Heat 1B, you've got a lot of qualifiers that have similar speeds, with the exception, of course, of the Atlas Van Lines. So look for a great battle for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th places in Heat 1B. We've got that and much more coming up from Madison, Indiana in just a moment. Stay with us. Again, the rundown now for Heat 1A. The Executone telephones and your qualifying speeds on the right. The Budweiser, American Speedy Printing, again, the host boat. Miller Light All-Star with Tom Deeth aboard, and the Carl Yarling, that's the U-20 at 106.6. Here's some of the previous winners. Back in '83, the Budweiser with Jim Kropfeld winning it. On back to the Squire Shop, the Budweiser twice, and the Atlas Van Lines with Bill Munsey in '79. And now the flying start under the Madison Milton Bridge. Here we go with Heat 1A. In lane number 1, it's the Miss Budweiser with Jim Kropfeld aboard. In lane number 2, it's the Executone telephones with George Johnson aboard out on those rocky river out there. High rollers, and they're having to negotiate those as they go into the west turn. On the outside is the Executone telephones, as I said. First to accelerate out of that very tight turn on this 2.5-mile course is that boat, the Miss Budweiser, with Jim Kropfeld of Cincinnati, Ohio aboard. First place to the Budweiser. Second place to the Executone telephones behind the rooster tail of the Budweiser down these very, very long straightaways. Look at that boat bounce around out there and those very strange rollers that come off the shore and the shallow water here. They have some sandbars underneath the course in different locations, making the water behave rather strangely at times. The Budweiser, a very heavy boat, a good boat to have on a course like this. First place to the Budweiser. You see the lead Jim Kropfeld has over George Johnson and the Executone telephones. Completing lap number 1 is the Budweiser, coming down ahead of George Johnson. That man right there in that brand new Lucero design and built boat. Speed for the Budweiser, 109.8 miles per hour, 106 for the Executone Telephones. Third place going to the Light All-Star with Tom Deeth aboard. Not terribly high speeds, but it's because of the turbulence of the water here. Real choppy going down into that turn. The rollers come off the shore and back into the course. The Budweiser, as I said, a very heavy boat and can negotiate these turbulent waters probably better than most of the boats out on the course. Jim Kropfeld in first place, but look at George Johnson. Now the boat totally covered by the rooster tail of the Budweiser. Third place to Tom Deeth. Happy to be out there. Uh-oh, Ron Steiner of the American Speedy Printing got dead in the water down in the west turn. You see the boats go by him now as the Budweiser holds on to first place. They go past the bridge. They'll come under it again. That's the Madison-Milton Bridge, a familiar sight in unlimited hydroplane racing here in Madison, Indiana. Better than 96,000 fans watching the Budweiser coming down the main chute, completing lap number 2, slowing down just a bit, as a matter of fact. Let's get a time for the Budweiser. First place, 105.5 miles per hour. Second place, the Executone Telephone. So they are slowing down due to the choppy waters. The Budweiser with those powerful Griffin engines. And you see the skid pit digging in on the left side of the boat, holding on these very tight turns. The diameter only 690 feet. Normally they're around 12 to 13, even 1,400 feet in diameter. Third place to the Light All-Star, the turbine-powered boat, getting its first action experience here in 1984, qualifying at better than 116 miles per hour. But Jim Kropfeld is in control right now. Looks like he's spread it out a little bit ahead of the second place boat. That man rocking and rolling along is George Johnson and the Executone Telephones. The Budweiser under the bridge, back into that east turn as he comes around, flying around that turn. You can see underneath the boat. Oh, he's got a tight turn there to get past the American Speedy Printing. A great job of driving by Kropfeld to avoid what could be a disaster. He has to go inside. Executone Telephones went way wide, and of course that meant that the Budweiser picked up some valuable time. In first place is the Budweiser with Jim Kropfeld of Cincinnati, Ohio. Look at him rolling around, the spray coming up over the cockpit. There's his lead over the second place boat, the Executone Telephones, and George Johnson. Johnson, a former offshore racer, so he's used to rollers like this in choppy water, but not in an unlimited hydroplane anyway. The Budweiser again coming into that west turn in lane number 1. A lot of major repairs done on that boat, of course, after that accident that took place in New York, up in Syracuse while they were testing, but they got it repaired in time to come back and win last week in Evansville, Indiana. There's the lead again for Jim Kropfeld and company. Bernie Little, of course, owns this boat, the all-time winningest owner, and look who's gone dead in the water. That's George Johnson and the Executone Telephones. He was in second place, obviously some engine problems there. Second place now goes over to this boat, the Light All-Star with Tom Deeth aboard. Third place to the Carl Yarling Special, the U-20 with Jerry Hopp out of Seattle. Second place, though, to that man, Tom Deeth, in the turbine-powered Light All-Star out of Houston, Texas. It's owned by R.V. Bob Taylor. And this man, of course, Jim Kropfeld, working for Bernie Little, the all-time winningest owner, with 47 wins after their victory in Evansville, that being last week. And here's your winner for Heat 1A, the Budweiser, Jim Kropfeld, another 400 points. Second place to the Light All-Star, 300 points, his first of the year for Tom Deeth and company, the Light All-Star. And here are the standings after Heat 1A. The Budweiser picking up another 400. Light All-Star, great showing in its debut, 300 points. The Carl Yarling with third place. Heartbreak for Executone Telephones and American Speedy Printing. Both failed to finish. Let's go down to Jim Henrik now, and the winner of Heat 1A.
Well, Don, they didn't go over 110 miles an hour in their victory in the Miss Budweiser. What's the matter, Jim? The water rough?
Yeah, the water's pretty rough out there. I think that's actually rougher than it was last year when we ran our final heat.
That would have to be, with your heavyweight boat, your heaviest, I believe, in the field, a little advantage for you.
It's to our advantage, but it sure hurts the poor driver.
Well, let's hope we don't hurt anybody today. And Jim Kropfeld, of course, has a victory here in Heat 1A. Back up to you, Don.
All right, Jim, we've got Tom Deeth with us, who came in second place. The water looks incredibly rough, especially at the start and in the turns out there.
Well, our game plan really was just to get on the outside, start off the clock, because this is the first heat we've been in all year, and see how the boat reacted to the, to the wakes of the other boats. And we're kind of pleased that we finished. This is a new experience for the Light All-Star Racing team, just getting started and finishing in the same heat. So
this must remind you of Detroit a little bit.
Yeah, but the water is awful rough, especially up by the bridge. There's that sandbar up there, and coming out of turn 1 and 2 here, there's that sandbar there, and it always is rough there, so you got to watch those spots.
And again, back into that east turn where the Budweiser and Jim Kropfeld doing an outstanding piece of driving to avoid the American Speedy Printing. There, the skid fin clear out of the water on the left side of the boat. He somehow avoids the American Speedy Printing and goes on to victory. Jim Kropfeld and the Bud. We'll be back with Heat 1B in just a moment. Here's the rundown again as far as the boats are concerned and qualifying speeds. A new record set by the Atlas Van Lines on this course. Chip breaking his old record, the Squire Shop, the Renault, Tosti Asti, and Chet's Music Shop. And as I said, a new record set by Chip and the new Atlas turbine-powered boat at 135.034. Here we go now for the start of Heat 1B. On the inside, that man, Mickey Riemann, and the Union Bay Squire Shop as they come across the starting line now. In lane 3, you saw the Tosti Asti, and in lane 2, the Atlas Van Lines. Here we go for Heat 1B. You see the Squire Shop fly into that turn now. That's Mickey Riemann in lane 2. Chip Hanauer and the Atlas Van Lines as they go into the west turn. The skid fins digging in, the water flying into the air. The Tosti Asti in third place coming around the outside. Here's the key now on these tight 690-foot diameter turns, the acceleration. And Chip Hanauer has plenty of it in that brand new Jim Lucero design and build hull. The turbine-powered boat, second place, the Squire Shop bouncing around. Look at Mickey Riemann. Holy mackerel, he's jumping all over the place. That boat normally very forgiving in choppy water. He holds on to it all right. In the meantime, Chip Hanauer coming into the east turn now as he comes around in first place on lap number 1 in Heat 1B. He's rocking a little bit there, but the boat seems almost immune to some of those rollers and swells that exist in both turns here in Madison, Indiana. Chip Hanauer, first place in Heat 1B after one lap. Speed for Chip, 124.86 miles per hour. He's moving. Second place, Squire Shop and Mickey Riemann. Of course, Chip drove that boat last year, the past couple of years. In third place, Steve Reynolds, the Tosti Asti, in their backup boat, their original boat back in Seattle being worked on for the Gold Cup in Tri-Cities. But in first place right now is Chip Hanauer and the new Atlas Van Lines. Chip, the defending national champion, two-time national defending champion, as a matter of fact. His first year in a turbine-powered boat. Oh, it looks like that the Squire must have either... Yes, he caught his Sponson on the water, evidently. I don't think he clipped the buoy, but boy, he's got a lot of time and space to make up now. He still holds on to second place as he quickly accelerates down that backstretch. Very, very long straightaways here where they maintain high speed for a long period of time. That's the Tosti Asti in third place, trying to hold off. I believe it's Jet's Music behind him. Back to that quiet whisper jet, you could almost call it the whoosh boat. It's the turbine-powered Atlas Van Lines. Chip Hanauer, who began racing in the little small limited hydroplanes back at the age of 9 years old. A national champion in virtually every division of the limiteds, and now on to the unlimiteds where he's been a national champion 2 different times. Chip Hanauer coming around. His speed on this particular lap, 125.618 miles per hour. And again, widening that lead over this boat, the national points leader here in 1984, Mickey Riemann and the Union Bay Squire Shop. Back to Chet's Music. He is in fourth place, I believe, with a Tosti Asti right there. Steve Reynolds in third place. They've got a nice battle going on for third and fourth place, while it's smooth sailing for the Atlas Van Lines and Chip Hanauer. And look who's coming up. The Miss Renault now is coming up to challenge the Tosti and Chet's Music. He is in fourth place. Coming around now is the Squire Shop in second place. Coming down the back chute, the leader, Chip Hanauer, and the turbine-powered Atlas Van Lines, gliding over the swells as he goes under the Madison-built bridge here in Indiana. The bridge and, of course, the river separating Indiana and the proud state of Kentucky. Chip Hanauer in first place here in Heat 1B on the Ohio River, gliding over those swells as he comes down the main chute in front of better than 96,000 fans watching Heat 1B on the Ohio River. Second place, back to again another Lucero design and built hull, that being Mickey Riemann in the Union Bay Squire Shop. Let's check the speed on Mickey. He's at 106 miles per hour, slowing down just slightly. There again is your battle for third, fourth, and fifth. In third place, that man, Steve Reynolds, out of Seattle, Washington, the Vietnam veteran, driving a turbine-powered Tosti Asti. He's holding on to third place. On the inside is Chet's Music and Todd Yarling, the hometown boy from Madison, Indiana. Nice little battle there as they come down the main straightaway. Back to first place. You can see the lead for Chip Hanauer over this boat. Wait a minute. It looks like, yes, the Squire Shop is slowing down. Mickey Riemann has turned the boat out to the infield, so that gives even a bigger lead to that man, Chip Hanauer, and the Atlas Van Lines. Hanauer now can lay back. Well, they've got a great battle here. In second place now is Tosti Asti. Third place, that boat being Chet's Music. Back to first place, Chip Hanauer. And you can see it's a little rocky out there on that west turn. He comes down to the back chute now. Very little remaining here in Heat 1B. A couple more laps. There's Tosti Asti going by. And this is the difference now between the second and third and fourth place boats. The Renault and Chet's Music going deck to deck down the main chute, trying to catch Tosti Asti and try to gather more points here in Heat 1B. The Tosti Asti going into the west turn. Steve Reynolds, he loves to do battle, of course. He can't afford to swing too wide, of course, because he's got a man on the inside, that being Chet's Music and Todd Garling. In the meantime, better than half a lap ahead, here is the winner of Heat 1B, Chip Hanauer and the Atlas Van Lines. Let's take a look at that battle now for second, third, and fourth place. It's the Tosti Asti out of the turn first. He'll get second place. That's Steve Reynolds. Coming in third place, here comes the Renault. And in fourth place, it'll be that man, Todd Garling, and Chet's Music. Good race here in Heat 1B. The final results are these. The Atlas Van Lines picking up 400 points. The Tosti Asti and Steve Reynolds behind him, followed by the Renault. Chet's Music with Todd Garling. The Squire Shop with mechanical problems did not finish. Let's go down to the pits now with Jim Hendrick.
Well, Don, we're making our way now down to the Atlas Van Lines pit. The driver, Chip Hanauer. Chip, they said the water was rough, but you hit up to 125 mile an hour plus. I didn't think the turbine would do that in rough water.
Well, so far the boat's handling real well. You know, I don't know if it's going to stay like that all day, and who knows what the water's going to be like in the final. But so
is
far,
it really rough, like they say?
It's really rough. That corner down there is really bad, you know, like it always is, and we're just going to have to wait and see.
You nailed that start pretty good.
Yeah, it was a pretty good one. I wish I could have that in the final, but we'll see what happens.
Okay, Don, the story of the winner of Heat 1B, Chip Hanauer. Back up to you.
And Jim, the Tosti Asti has come by the pits a couple of times now. Obviously, Steve Reynolds can't turn it off. And he's in Heat 2A. Let's go back to you in the pits again.
Excuse me, Ricky, I don't want to bother you, but we have to. What happened out there?
Oh, it's a beautiful day, but the water's awful lumpy. We didn't really have to beat Chip. We wanted to, but we really didn't have to because he's pretty low on points for the season. So we thought we'd beat him if we could. If not, we'd run second. Ended up breaking the engine, so we're going to have to run hard in the next game.
You flew it down the back chute, lap number one. I saw you come real loose out there.
Yeah, it's about as loose as you ever want to get. There's a lot of rollers there, and this propeller's never been on the boat before. We tested with it, but testing by yourself and then racing is a different configuration. We've got to get the back end up a little bit. It was a little too loose.
Jim, how bad is this thing?
It's awfully bad. It's the worst I've ever seen. We've lost the left rear motor mount in the boat.
You in 2A?
We're in 2B.
So we've had virtually two engines destroyed, one here in the Squire Shop and one in the Executone. And in the meantime, the Tosti Asti has run out of gas, and they've got to get it back to the docks and refuel in time for 2A, which is coming up after this.